Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, I want to talk a little bit about X-Men Adventures. So what was X-Men Adventures, you may ask? X-Men Adventures was the X-Men comic book that was tied into the now classic 1992 X-Men animated series from Fox Kids. And this book here reprints the first 4 issues of that title, featuring the storylines of Night of the Sentinels and Enter Magneto. And this trade paperback was also published in 1992. Although it probably actually came out in 93. And we're going to look a little bit at Night of the Sentinels. Written by Ralph Macchio, penciled by Andrew Wildman, with inks by Robert Caminella. In X-Men the Animated Series, which debuted on Halloween 1992 on Fox Kids, it was Marvel's second attempt at an animated X-Men series. It ran for 5 seasons, totaling in 76 episodes, and the comic ran from 92 to 94 for a total of 15 issues. And the plots, at least in Volume 1, Volume 2 was after that. I guess it was canceled and then it brought it back. And the plots of the comics were adaptations of episodes from the show. I liked the animated series, X-Men animated series. I watched it on occasion. I even had a couple of videotapes featuring a few episodes at the sometime later, and I read an occasional issue. I actually liked X-Men Adventures better than I liked the main Marvel X-Men title, largely because they had to actually tell a story. One of the things I did not like about X-Men during this time period is that it just meandered on and on and on, and didn't really tell a story. It'd have little incidents here and there, but it just seemed to meander. Of course, if you read it steadily every month, you probably saw the overall story. But as a person who only would pick it up upon occasion, like me, it was totally incoherent, because there never seemed to be an overall plot for the most part. So I liked X-Men Adventures, just like I like some of the X-Men prose novels and other comic book prose novels from the 90s and early 2000s and the like, because they have to tell a story. They cannot just meander on and on and on and on. And I like more or less like the artwork. I got no problem with the artwork. As I said, this is drawn by Andrew Wildman. He's a British artist. He's worked mainly for Marvel Comics in the U.S. He worked on many Marvel UK titles in the late 80s, such as Thundercats, Ghostbusters, and Transformers. And he moved to America to the American Transformers titles. After that, to X-Men Adventures and G.I. Joe, and he became a regular artist on Spider-Man 2099. And he has drawn Transformers for various publishers over the years. So I guess he's and a bunch of other stuff too. That's just a very brief overview of his work. Okay, now the Night of the Sentinels here. I'll just look kind of briefly at it. This is the adaptation of the first 2 episodes of the X-Men animated series. Introducing you to the characters and it followed at the very beginning Jubilee. But one thing that is different here, on the splash page, the whole thing is introduced by the Watcher, explaining more or less how this is a different universe, almost, but not quite exactly like the main Marvel universe. Said things are different, and stuff. And he does an outro at the end of this storyline as well. That, I guess that was just to tell the readers coming in, to ensure that they realize that this is not tied in with the regular Marvel Universe or X-Men titles. Yeah. And it starts right off. Sabretooth going haywire, causing havoc going around, and the news is covering that. And then and on the news they're bad mouthing mutants. And in this couple here, they are the foster parents of young Jubilation Lee, also known as Jubilee. And here she is, because we're talking about maybe having to register her, because they realize she's a mutant. So here she is, all cried, "Oh, woe was me," and here we got, what's this? Somebody come flying out through the window, someone flying up, and what is it? Clunk, 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 clunk. It says target, pinpoint, imminent. There it is. There's the target, Jubilation Lee. Unregistered mutant, and smashes through the side of the house, grabbing her bed, because she should be in bed, and of course, she's not there, because she skipped out. Damn. And they go, holy cow, what happened? Then we see Jubilee. She has snuck out and gone to the mall, where she is playing video games at an arcade. Remember arcades? And she got so excited, her powers kicked in, and she melted the handle for the video game. And the owner is all PO'd, and she runs off. And Jubilee is already in what will later become her costume. It's just a combination of some colorful clothes. And at the mall, and there is the giant robot. The Sentinels come smashing in, grabbing her. Meanwhile, some of the X-Men were there doing some shopping. I don't know why they're doing shopping in their costumes, but they were. And they rush in where angels fear to tread. And Jubilee, his captive, says, "Release the monster! That child will not be harmed! I said unhand her!" "Oh, let me down, let me down!" And they all take on this Sentinel and do a number on it. It's all damaged. So, but then Jubilee's own kind of technomantic type powers kick in, and she does a number on the or is about to do does a number on the Sentinel. It drops a gas bomb, boom, which knocks her out. The X-Men grab her, and then Cyclops, he finishes off that Sentinel, and they take Jubilee to the X-Mansion, where the X-Men characters are introduced. Wolverine, yada yada yada. Beast. You ever see Beast and Morph? And you go, Morph? Who the hell is Morph? Morph was an original character created specifically for the show because to add gravitas to the original story, he was created to die a martyr. Oh, and Jubilee's feeling better. She sneaks out and sneaks away. Meanwhile, Senator Gyrick is at her home, yelling at her folks. Said, "Who are these people? Do you know where they are?" Yada yada. They were with Jubilee. Here Jubilee's taking the bus home. As soon as she gets off the bus, she's attacked again. Well, crap. She just can't get nothing. And she tries to take this one out, and she gets gassed again. This time Gyrick is right there. See, parts from these storylines were taken from, of course, from the parts of the story characters and storylines were taken from the regular X-Men titles, and some of these names will be, if you only know X-Men from the movies, some of these names may well be familiar to you. So here they at the X-Mansion, they're examining the head of the Sentinel, because this, I gather, was their first encounter with the Sentinel. It was a trial run for the Sentinels, giant mutant hunting robots, sponsored by the government. And here she is, all tied down again, while the X-Men have gone to this government facility for the mutant affairs, because mutants were being having to register with the government, like guns and stuff. Morph does his thing, sneaks in. He becomes the doppelganger of this guard. Then the other X-Men get in, and Wolverine embraces his philosophy of pretty much, if it's in your way, knock it down. So he rips open the doorway, and Beast goes in to shut off the alarm system. But there's a Sentinel is there. No, it's not a Sentinel. It's some kind of trap. It's a fear-inducing, mind-altering gas or something like that. And Morph sees himself dying here in this thing, and he is terrified and almost incapacitated, but they have to get in, so they help him on in. Now here in this reprint, they don't break up the two issues. They tell it all as one storyline. They don't break down into the two issues. Meanwhile, Cyclops and his team are being overwatched for the insertion team. and Storm is in command of the insertion team. They go in. They have to fight, then get in and delete all of the registered mutants from the database. Then they have to get out, and now the backup team is distracting the forces to allow the insertion team to get out. And there are the Sentinels. Boom, 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 which they hadn't counted on. So they're fight. Sentinel, fight. Jean Grey, who has been monitoring from afar with Cerebro. Something's going wrong. Fight. And Beast has been thrown against the electric fence and zapped, and the Sentinel kills Morph. Zap. And Scott gets the insertion team out, but they wind up having to leave Morph and Beast behind. Meanwhile, Garrick is questioning Jubilee. He says, "I don't know nothing. I don't know." She doesn't know a thing. She doesn't know who they are or anything. And here they are back at the X-Mansion, griping, justifiably so, how screwed up the mission was. It was a success, except for the loss of 2 of their team. And Wolverine says, "We got to go in and save him." And Morph is probably dead, and yada. Yes, he's dead. And that is basically where the first issue ended. The second issue went into Beast as the captive. And we get a flashback because he was cradling, even though he'd been zapped and knocked unconscious while everyone was getting away. He comforted Morph, and as he lay dying, and until he was dead. And that's as far as I'm going to go into this. It's some pretty decent visual storytelling, good visual art, and the story is better, in my opinion, better written and much more coherent than appeared in the regular X-Men titles at this time. Right? And this animated show was probably the introduction to a whole host of new young fans then to the X-Men, who then later may have followed the X-Men in the regular comic titles. And then after that, it was here. This is from. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Enter Magneto. Far different looking Magneto than we see from the movies. And actually, I like the look of Magneto in the movies better than in the comics. Myself. So that is all of X-Men Adventures I want to cover this time. I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment. Did you ever read the X-Men Adventures comic book? Did you watch the old series? And see, part of the reason I'm presenting this now is, from what I understand, sometime in this year of 2023, there's supposed to be debuting a new X-Men animated series, which is a sequel to that, because the X-Men have had, 3 or 4 animated series now, including this one. And this one is supposed to be a direct sequel to that original series. So we can all look forward to that. And thanks again. And remember, my friends, comics are art.